Hello everyone, you are welcome to Literature Hub 247. This is a platform where literature is discussed 24/7. If you are new on this channel, I will advise that you click on the subscribe button so that you'll be part of this educative journey. You can also click on the bell icon so that you'll be notified whenever any video is released. This particular video is about a non-African play titled An Inspector Calls. An Inspector Calls is written by J.B Priestley. We've earlier discussed the plot summary of the text, that is where we summarize every event in the text. If you have not watched it on this video, search for it or you request for the link and I will send the link to you. You can request for it through the message box. This is the Act 1 of An Inspector Calls. The dining room of the buildings is described as very large and well furnished to the taste of that period. The engagement of Sheila Billing, the daughter of the house, and Gerald Croft is being celebrated. We have discussed this while discussing the plot summary. The engagement of Sheila Billing and Gerald is being celebrated here. Mr. and Mrs. Billing sit facing each other at the table end. Eric sits downstage, and Sheila and Gerald sit upstage. Harold Billing is in his middle 50s, and his wife is about 50. Sheila, a pretty girl, is in her early 20s. Eric is in his early 20s, while Gerald is in early 30s. So with this, you can see that Eric is a younger brother to Sheila. Edna, the parlor maid, arranging the table, removing the empty plates and replacing them with a decanter of port, cigar box, and cigarettes. Harold Billing requests Edna to serve them port, that is wine. He tells Gerald and his wife to have a taste. Sheila also encourages her mother to take it. Billing comments the dinner as nice, and Gerald corroborates it as first class. Mrs. Billing, Sylvie, says her husband shouldn't say such as the family head. That is, Billing is not supposed to commend the dinner. He's not in the best position to commend that dinner, especially in the presence of Gerald. Let's now see the response of Gerald to that statement. Harold Billing responds that Gerald is already seen as a member of the family. Gerald also accepts being part of the family. Sheila playfully says, except for last summer, that Gerald didn't come near her. The latter says that he was then busy at his place of work. Sylvie then educates Sheila. You remember, Sylvie is also Mrs. Billing. Her real name is Sylvie. Her first name is Sylvie. Sylvie then educates Sheila that she will realize when she marries that serious men spend nearly all their time and energy on their business. Billing asks Gerald if he likes the little family party they are having, and Gerald says he likes it. He also comments on the absence of Gerald's parents at the party, which is due to their traveling abroad. He says the situation makes speech-making difficult. That is, for the fact that Gerald's parents are not around, that it makes speech-making difficult for him. That is from Mr. Billing. Billing expresses his happiness with the engagement and says that Sheila will make Gerald happy. He is optimistic that they will make each other happy. He says Gerald is the type of son-in-law he wants. He continues by saying that he and Gerald's father have been friendly rivals in business for a long time. Friendly rival in business. They are big businessmen. They are rivals. He said Gerald has brought them together and is optimistic for a harmonious relationship between Crofts and Billings in the near future. Mr. and Mrs. Billings wish Gerard and Sheila the best wishes and toast to it. Gerard presents Sheila with an engagement ring, and the latter loves it. She shows it to her mother and kisses Gerard. She comments that she now feels engaged. That is Sheila. Her mother admires the ring and advises Sheila to guide it jealously. She says the ring comes at the right time. Billings shows his happiness for the engagement once more and advises them to be optimists and not pessimists. That is, to hope for good things in their lives. He cited the example of the strike of the miners the previous month. Rumors abound that there will soon be trouble. He urges them not to worry, that the employers have come together for the protection of their interests and capital. Responding to Eric's question on war, he says nobody wants war because there's nothing to gain except some civilized folks in the Balkans. He adds that technology being developed will soon make war impossible. He prophesies that in some years to come, specifically in 1940, there wouldn't be anything like strikes and wars again. He says there will be peace and progress everywhere except in Russia. Mrs. Billings, who shows no more interest in the talk, calls Eric and Sheila, and they leave Billings and Gerard at the table. Billings takes cigar and Gerard takes to port, that is wine. Billings comments about Lady Croft not objecting to Gerard's engagement with Sheila. He also tells Gerard about his expectations to become a knight. Gerard congratulates him, and Billings responds that it is too early to congratulate him. He says there's a good chance to become a knight as long as they keep out of trouble. Eric joins them again and says he leaves his mother and Sheila talking about clothes. He comments that women are always freaked by clothes. Billings then educates Eric that clothes mean to women more than something to put on and make them pretty, that it is equally a sign of self-respect. In response to Eric's reaction to his statement, he says that boys nowadays have more money and time to spend. In contrast to when he was Eric's age, they work very hard with no access to money. Billings preaches self-reliance to the boys to find things easier and to look after themselves and their families. But when everybody looks after everybody, there are bound to be problems. This tells us that Billings is a capitalist, because this idea is that of the capitalist. They take care of their family alone. That's why he's telling the boys that that everybody look after. If everybody look after everybody, there are bound to be problems. That is capitalist idea. The advice is interrupted by the arrival of Inspector Gould, who knocks on the door. Edna comes in to inform Mr. Billings of the inspector, and the latter tells Edna to allow him in. Billings says it might have to be something about a warrant, while Gerard is suspicious that Eric might have involved himself in something. Edna comes in with Inspector Gould, who is in his 50s and dresses in a plain khaki suit of the period. Billings welcomes him and shows him a seat. In response to Billings' questions, he says he was recently transferred and that he is in the house to carry out an investigation. He explains further that a young woman died 2 hours ago at a clinic. The woman was rushed there in the afternoon because she swallowed a lot of strong disinfectant. The disinfectant burnt her stomach and was in great pain. They tried their best to save her life but she died eventually. It is a case of suicide. So the inspector is there to investigate the death, the involvement of the family in the death of the young lady. Billy then says he doesn't understand his connection with the case. The inspector replies that he searched the woman's room and found her diary. He explains further that the diary reveals that her original name is Eva Smith, who was employed in one of his factories sometimes. Billy denies knowing the woman, and Inspector Gould brings out a photograph and shows it to Billy. He blocks Eric and Gerald from viewing the photograph, which annoys them. Billy also expresses his feelings about it, and the inspector explains that that is how he wants the job done. One person and one line of inquiry at a time, quote unquote, to avoid muddling it up. So the inspector insists that that's how he wants the job done, so that things will not be muddled up. When Billy sees the picture, he now admits he knows Eva Smith. He says Eva Smith was one of his employees and he discharged her nearly 2 years ago in the early autumn of 1910. Billy introduces Gerald Crofts, who doesn't want to be involved in the matter, to Inspector Gould. The inspector asks him to stay. Billy argues that the sacking of Smith nearly 2 years ago has nothing to do with the suicide. Inspector Gould says he doesn't agree and says the incident might drive her to suicide. That is, her being sacked from her job might drive her to taking suicide. To take her life. Billy confirms Eva Smith to be a good worker working in one of his machine shops. He explained that Smith led a group of girls agitating for a pay rise. They wanted the pay raised to 25 shillings a week, which he refused and led to a sack along with some girls. Billy wants Eric, who is interrupting, to keep out of it as he knows nothing about it. Eric continues his argument that his father should have to pay her high wages. Billy, angry, advises Eric to brighten his idea for him to perform if he finds himself in a position of authority. He says the public schools he attended did teach him that is Billy. Sheila comes in to call them to join her and her mother in the drawing room. She is surprised to see the inspector, who tells her to wait. This annoys Billy and angrily tells the inspector that there is no need to drag his daughter to the issue since he has told him everything he knows. Sheila, who is confused at that time, requests to know what is happening. Inspector Gould introduces himself and tells her he's missing in the house. Gerald comments that it is what happened to her after leaving Billy's job that is important. He says they couldn't help him since they don't know the girl. Inspector Gould asks Gerald, Sheila, and Eric if they are sure they don't know the girl. This question surprises Billy, and he asks whether he is suggesting that one of them knows her. That confirms to Billy that the inspector is not there because of him alone, that he has come to investigate all the members of the family, including Gerald. The trial of Gerald, Sheila, and Eric deny ever knowing anybody bearing Eva Smith. Inspector Gould then explained that the lady's name was Eva Smith by the time Billy sacked her, and after that changed her name. In response to a question from Billy, Inspector Gould explained that after Smith was sacked, she was out of work for 2 months. Her parents were dead, hence she became homeless. She didn't have any savings to rely on. With no money coming into her purse, she lives a lonely life. All this put together make her desperate. She was afterward employed in the Mewa store. She was doing fine there, but they suddenly told her to go at the end of January of the previous year because of a customer complaint. Sheila is agitated when she hears this and she inquires further about her. Inspector Good then shows Eva Smith's photograph to Sheila, and she recognizes her immediately. Sheila is shocked and runs out. She's the customer who was responsible for the sack of Smith from the Miwa store. That is, Sheila is the customer that recommended that Eva Smith be sacked. What happens? Billy expresses his feelings about the mess the inspector has put the family into in the midst of the celebration. Sheila later calms and looks dejected. She explains what happened that fateful day, that is, the event that led to the sacking of Eva Smith. She has gone to Miwa's to buy a dress, and while trying it on, Eva Smith starts laughing at her because it doesn't fit her. She also offers Eva Smith passing derogatory statements about her and presents it as if she's prettier than Sheila. This infuriated Sheila and ran to the manager and said that Eva Smith should be sacked. She added that if they didn't sack her, she would persuade her mother to close the account with the store. Inspector Gould explains further that after Smith is sacked from the Miwa store, she changes her name to Daisy Renton. Gerald is startled when he hears the name and requests a drink from Sheila. The inspector asks for billing, and Ed is taking him to the drawing room, looking from Sheila to Gerald. Sheila asks Gerald how he knew Eva Smith, now Daisy Renton. He initially denies knowing her, but later admits that and says they should not discuss it further. Sheila says they couldn't leave it at that as he knows the lady very well. She insists on knowing when he knew. Maybe he was seeing her when he hardly came to her last spring and summer. Remember that Sheila was complaining that sometimes Gerald did not come to her. So it's now saying maybe that is the lady Gerald was seeing then. Gerald later apologizes to Sheila and says he doesn't have a hand in the suicide case. He also begs her not to tell the inspector anything. Sheila laughs at him and says that inspectors know what they don't know. The inspector comes in looking at the two of them. So this is the end of the Act 1 of An Inspector Course, written by J.B Priestley. Act 2 and 3 are also going to be discussed, as well as the themes, the characters, and the dramatic techniques. Let's be on the lookout. You can invite your friends to join us. You can share our video on any social media platform. You are free to do that. And if you have any question on this text or any other text or on literature generally, you are free to request. Make your request through the message box, and your questions will be attended to. Thank you, and God bless you.